What's up, everyone? It's Q from Retro Q Gaming, and my god, it feels like so long since I've made a video. I've been super busy with work, and I eventually got to the point where I can't stand it and I had to make a video because I just miss it so much. Anyway, in this video, we're going to talk about achievements and trophies. Now, achievements and trophies, they come in very many different shapes and forms, but we'll start basically at the beginning. The modern day achievement system as we know it for most people, the more commonly associated one anyway, and the more mainstream one, started on the Xbox 360. So when the Xbox 360 launched at the end of 2005, people were wondering what are these achievements? Every time you put in a different game, you would get achievements related to specific game. They would all give you a points value, and that value would be added to your gamer score, and it's kind of a public show of maybe skill, public show of the amount of games you've played, the amount of progress you've made in them, things like that. Now, they come in many different shapes and forms, as I said already, but the main thing about them was the fact that a lot of people would say just associate the modern day achievement system starting on Xbox 360. Now, sure, they've basically all stemmed from there. At the end of it, you've got the Xbox 360, obviously, the PlayStation 3 or the PlayStation family added trophies down the line. You have Steam has achievements, Uplay has achievements, Origin has achievements. I'm sure GOG Galaxy probably has achievements. I've never used it myself, but yeah, there's tons of different systems nowadays, and they all have their own types. Most of them, at least, have their own types of achievements. And that brings up a whole other couple of points and all, really. So we've covered the 360 and the basic version of it as well. So generally, the rule was that most games would launch with 1,000 gamer score if they're full retail games. That's not 100%, because a perfect example is I have Condemned Criminal Origins, and that one was a launch title on the Xbox 360, and it only has 970 gamer score. But either way, at the end of the day, the principle is roughly the same. There's rules to add it beyond 1,000 with DLC and all that, and possible caps when they can be, or how many can be added within a certain period of time, things like that. That's not really relevant to this video. That's all just, I don't know what you call it, like other background things that we as gamers don't really need to worry about when it comes to, say, achievements, at least anyway. So the achievement craze started. People were banging out as much achievements as possible, as many achievements as they could get. Some people were even specifically buying games just to get achievements. There was some games out there. King Kong was an early one, again another launch title. King Kong was a game that was supposed to have a really easy 1,000 gamer score. So people would buy that just to boost up their gamer score really easy. I wasn't like that myself. Now I'm just saying, just throwing it out there. The PlayStation 3 and Sony noticed how popular achievements were, and what they were inadvertently doing for certain game sales or certain games play times and their proliferation, there you go, of just certain games, and like I said, the amount they get played and all as well. So a while later, after the PS3 released, they patched in trophy support into the operating system. Now, not every game had trophies. Obviously, the ones at launch and up until the actual trophy support didn't have trophies. Some of the ones shortly after didn't even have them. But a lot of after, a couple of months after the actual trophy support was added, many, and then eventually all games would start launching with trophies. Some of them did get patched. Some of the games without trophies eventually did get patched with trophies into them. They're the main one and the main focus and the main highlight of the post trophy patching, if you will. Yeah, there we go, we call it that, is Metal Gear Solid 4. That was the one that got trophies added several years later, and eventually it was all finally done, and a lot of people were happy about that. To be honest, I haven't actually played the trophy version myself. Once the trophy patch actually came out for MGS4, I'd already played it a couple of times at that point, and I didn't really feel like going back to it. But I turned on the game, downloaded the patch, and I never got around to playing through it again. I was thinking about playing MGS4 again recently, so maybe that's going to happen now. But anyway, that's beside the point. So we've seen how Xbox 360 and PS3 Obviously, Xbox One works the same way. PS Vita, PS4, it all continues on. They just added more and more there. Steam is the exact same way. When Steam first launched back in the day, back in what was it? I don't know, 2004, whenever, just before Half-Life 2 came out, there was no achievements. The Steam as we know it was completely different back then from what it is now. Now, because of when something like Origin, EA's digital platform on PC, Origin, when that actually launched, achievements and trophies were mainstream. They were widespread. They were just another standard at this point in the game. So naturally, Origin launched with achievements, Origin achievements. Some of the older games that they had on there didn't have achievements because they just ported them straight onto it instead of just, fully upgrading them or updating them, whatever it is you want to call it. And at the same time, it was the same with Uplay. When Ubisoft brought out Uplay on PC, it was the exact same thing as Origin. The achievements were a given at this point with the games, and they went there. Actually, there's one other thing I want to mention that I almost forgot at the start. There is another system that I didn't mention. Games for Windows Live. Now, we all know Games for Windows Live has fallen apart and doesn't exist anymore, really. And you could log in with your Xbox account, essentially, and use your same gamer tag on PC, and you could get achievements in that as well. That would all count towards it. Perfect example is my old Resident Evil 5 on PC, my Gears of War on PC. They both use Games for Windows Live. I have a few others that use Games for Windows Live as well, such as Kane and Lynch and Bulletstorm, but I never really played them properly or anything like that. I used Gears of War and Resident Evil 5 because I actually properly played those two on PC for a considerable amount of time. Anyway, so that's... I know I've done the intro for this video way too long now. I'm approaching 7 minutes, and I really thought the intro for this video would take like 2 minutes, maybe 3, but it's gone on too long. So I'm going to move on to the actual main meat of the video. So when it comes to people who would earn trophies and all like that as well, I went through a period of time in my life. It was, God, I don't even know when it was. It was probably about 2006 to maybe 2010. Maybe 2009, I don't know. It went 2006 for a couple of years anyway. Mostly on the Xbox 360. But it does extend to a couple of other things, which I'll get into now in a minute. So, there's many different people out there who would consider themselves like trophy hunters or achievement hunters or whatever it is. There's websites, blogs, all this, videos, YouTube channels, all this stuff dedicated to specific achievements, hunting achievements, 1,000 points of your games, or whatever, 1250, 1500 of your games, essentially getting all the achievements and trophies in your games. So there is a large community out there for people who want to pursue this, and they want to get as much out of their game as possible. So I consider myself kind of on a scale that I've just created in my head, really, that doesn't really apply as a generic thing everywhere. But there's kind of a scale that I have. The top level of like achievement hunters and stuff like that, I don't consider myself on the top investment level. I would consider myself like the second investment level, basically. And I'll go through what those are now. So on the top level of investment-wise, you've got two different types of people up there. Most people are probably asking, like, well, why isn't one of them just top level and one of them second level, and then everything else moves down one? No, it's just because of what they do. I consider this the top level kind of thing. So, on the top level, there's two types of people. One of them will buy random games and cheap games and just other games that they wouldn't usually play and all, just to bump up their gamer score really easy. Again, I know tons of people who have specifically bought games like King Kong, James Cameron's Avatar, the other Avatar, the Last Airbender one, because they're easy achievements. So these people will buy the games just to get some quick boost to their points. Now, fair enough, they want to do that. Good for them. I wouldn't bother with it myself, but yeah. The second type of people in the top level of investment-wise, I would consider people that would grind out a game they don't like, or just a game that they played for a little bit but didn't feel like getting all the achievements usually, but that they're going to finish and grind out the achievements just for the sake of getting more achievements. So I've never done that. Well, okay, I've done that second part like a couple of times, not too many, maybe like 2-3 times, just because. Now, on top of all that, okay, that's the top tier of people with the investment levels, if you want. So I'd always consider myself like the second level of investment, and that second level is basically, I'll play through games. I'll play through games. I really enjoy them and all. Most of the achievements I would probably get going through because I'm a fairly strong completionist. So, I'm going to want to complete as many side quests as possible, if not all of them. I'm going to want to level my stuff to 99. I'm going to want to beat the secret bosses. I'm going to want to do this. You get the idea. I'm doing all that kind of stuff. And because of all that, usually I have the majority of the achievements in a game. And if it's a game that I like enough to be playing anyway, maybe at the time I'm really into the game for a few days and I figure, fuck it, I'll just burn through them all as quick as possible. Maybe that's the case, maybe it's not. But that's usually how I work now. That actually ties into the video that we're seeing now. So this is Heavy Rain remastered on PS4. And I played Heavy Rain back in 2010 when the PS3 came out. It was actually my game of the year for 2010. I loved it. And the reason why I'm using this footage and the reason why I'm talking about this topic is because they go hand in hand and they made me rethink and remember all of this. So the main reason for that is because Heavy Rain, even to this day, is still my own, Heavy Rain on PS3 for that matter, is my only platinum trophy on on my PlayStation profile at all. I was going to say on the PlayStation system, but that includes, PS3, PS4 and Vita. This one, Heavy Rain, is my only platinum trophy. Now, I'm probably going to go on platinum Heavy Rain on PS4 as well. I'll probably do it a bit more gradually. I'll probably, get a trophy or two every couple of days and just chip away at the large amount of endings and all that as well. But yeah, you get the idea. So the fact is, I loved Heavy Rain so much back in 2010 when it came out, and it was so fantastic that I actually wanted to see all the endings. I wanted to do all the other stuff to get all the trophies and all as well. So that's why I put all that. I think it's, I won't say funny, but I just think it's kind of, I can't say ironic. You know what I'm talking about. It's kind of the fact that it reminded me, Heavy Rain on PS4 reminded me of the reason on Heavy Rain on PS3, which tied all back to the achievements and trophies. Got a little bit tongue-tied and off topic there and all as well. So I think that the fact that they can breathe life into so many games, they can breathe so much secrets into them as well. They can make people strive for proper completion, or they can reward you for full-on completion, things like that. It's a pretty interesting system overall, especially one that's been added almost 11 years ago and is still going pretty strong with a pretty decent community across multiple platforms. The Xbox family, the PlayStation family, the Steam, Uplay, Origin, whatever you have it. There's all people on there, and there's all communities on there that are just dedicated to trophies and achievements and unlocking all that stuff for whatever reason they want. And, that's good for them. I'm not going to take away from it. So that brings me back, actually, before I end the video. Achievements and trophies aren't perfect. I'm very well aware they're not perfect. There are absolute scumbag ways that companies have used before and probably will continue to use in the future of getting people to get achievements or getting people to be kind of hooked and say, oh, well, you're already this far in, you might as well do this, and this shit. There's all sorts of stuff. There was a game that released on Xbox 360 and PS3 a couple of years back. It was towards the end of the life cycle of the console. I don't remember what it was off the top of my head, but the original, I think it was 50 achievements or whatever it was, for the original 1000 gamer score, couldn't actually be obtained on launch day. You needed to wait a couple of months. Now, it wasn't one of the ones where you could just say, play the game 2 months after your first time of playing it. But it was one that the original content wasn't actually in the game, and you had to pay for the DLC later on to be able to do that. Usually DLCs would add, say, an extra 250 or something on top of your original 1000, but this one didn't. The actual content to do this wasn't originally added in the base game or some of the standard updates. Maybe that changed down the line, but it's still a bit of a scumbag move. There's also things like companies would do, they would basically throw achievements at you where they never became skill rewards or completionist rewards or just game completion rewards even. When I said completionists, I meant like the kind of 100% completionists or doing all this crazy weird shit completionist. But eventually it became a point where Microsoft, I was going to say Sony, where Microsoft allowed you to actually delete games off your achievement list, because achievement hunters weren't happy. There was people who would play a game for 5 minutes and then it was just stuck on their gamer card forever. So as long as you had 0 achievements and no gamer score in that particular game, you could delete it off your list. And naturally, companies began to go against that a little bit and started doing some scumbag stuff. So some companies and some games and some companies and developers and stuff would actually put achievements into their game so that they would unlock basically straight away. So, I mean, there's a couple of games out there that when you put the game in, you get to the main menu and it says like press start to continue. You press start, you get an achievement. That's not an achievement. That's like, congratulations, you woke up in the morning and didn't die. It's just, no, it's a load of scumbag stuff. There are a couple of actually, Grand Theft Auto 5, Grand Theft Auto 4, Rockstar and GTA 4 are guilty of this as well. Turn on the game, get through the loading screen, boom, achievement unlocked on your gamer tag forever. Now, I know there's all sorts of other things in there, but that's a perfect example of it. And eventually, some games and all just started throwing at it. It's like, hey, congratulations, you moved with the left stick, have an achievement. No, it doesn't do it for me. So that's basically it. Like I said, I've gone above and beyond for achievements a couple of times. Some of them I've ground out really, really hard stuff in games I liked and games I loved, mind you. So this was stuff I was actually doing at the time and that made me want to do it. Dead Rising comes to mind, Heavy Rain comes to mind, many, many others. I have plenty of that stuff. But I cooled down on achievements and all a couple of years ago, and I've never gotten back to where I was. Thankfully, I don't want to go back to where I was. And it's funny looking back on how it influenced maybe me and what I would do, simply because of a current mainstream trend in the industry at the time. So I think that's kind of messed up not messed up, but it provides an interesting way to look back on how it was and how it's changed and how I've changed at the time and the way I handle things and all as well. So that's basically the end of the video. Let me know in the comment section below your entire sordid history, opinions, whatever you want, whatever you have on achievements and trophies. Have you ever done something crazy? Have you ever gotten some really rare ones and all that as well? Have you gone above and beyond? Have you bought certain games for them? Have you only grind out your favorite game ever? Whatever it is, I don't know. I know I said I was ending the video here, but I remember back on mygamercard.net when that was still around, it would actually track your achievement progress and you could embed it into your signatures on forums and things like that as well. And that brings me back to a quick little funny part. I'll just enter it in here real quick right before the very end of the video. And that reminds me that when Clive Barker's Jericho came out on Xbox 360, I actually 1000 pointed that game the day I got it. And yes, I liked the game at the time. It probably sucks these days in comparison to go back to. But I was actually, I 1000 pointed it the day I got it, and I did it at like 10 to midnight. I went online and I looked on mygamercard.net. You could filter by country and all that. I was going to say company. You could filter it by country, and I threw in Ireland and all as well. And it turns out I was the very first person in Ireland to be connected onto the internet to have the 1000 gamer score. I didn't check worldwide. I just remember checking Ireland. That was all I cared about at the time. And one other one as well is when the first BioShock game eventually got its extra achievement added, the Brass Balls achievement. I was actually the second person in the world to have it. Some German guy beat me, the guy who actually unlocked it and figured out what it was. He was some German guy, and I was the second guy in the world to have that achievement ever. And I'm still kind of proud about that. And even to this day, possibly my most proud of achievement that I've ever unlocked in any game ever is probably Saint in Dead Rising 1. For those of you at the time who were playing Dead Rising 1, you know exactly how hard that was. It's considerably easier in Dead Rising 2 and 3, but in Dead Rising 1, when the game was current and at the time, that was a significant feat, and I am really, really happy about that anyway, but that's just me. So, what do I know? Anyway, that's my extended outro gone way too long. So let me know all your things about the achievements and trophies, what you've done for them, what you haven't done, what you would do, blah blah blah, in the comment section below. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You can follow me on Twitter, details in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the rest of the videos in my channel.